up, guys? Here we go. This is the second part of section 7 video. In this video, we're going to talk about how do you graph piecewise functions. And actually, you're going to see, go back to the Algebra 2 part of my webpage. Right underneath where you clicked on this link to get to this video, you're going to see another link that says print this out for this video. I forgot to give you the graphic organizer notes in class, but it will be very helpful, guys, if you could print it out, because the example that I go through with you in the video is on that graphic organizer, and the second example is on there as well that I want you to do by yourself. There's one in the back too, but you need to print it and use that for this video. Now, if you don't have it and you don't have a printer, it is no excuse for you to say, well, I can't do this. No. Just do notes on a graph paper or just regular paper. You can do notes. And by the way, side note, this video, you need to make sure, guys, you study the video. Please don't just watch these for entertainment. That's not why I do them. Yeah, sure, they're fun, but yes, you need to study these. There's too many people that I'm starting to see get very lackadaisical and lazy on taking notes. That does you zero good, especially with this video. There's 5 steps I'm going to go over with you in great detail on one example that you need to make sure that you don't just, fast forward to those steps. No, watch the video twice, if not even 3 times before you come into class tomorrow. You need to study the video. And I know you're like, you're crazy. Listen, if you want to be successful in anything in life, you got to do a little bit more. So you better make sure you watch the video a couple times, at least very, very detailed once, if not skimming it a second time. Because when you have those notes in class, we can both look at those side by side or in your pod, and we can help each other get through those notes and understand what the steps actually mean. That's the point for doing the video. So I'm free in class to be able to help you do that. But it does no good if you don't do your part. I'll do mine. I promise you I'll do mine, always. You need to make sure you hold up your end of the bargain. So study this video. And there's one example I'm going to go over with you in detail, and then the second one you're going to be doing on your own. So go back through and watch the video. Pause it. Rewatch the parts that you're not sure about, and then we'll practice these bad boys in class. So let's go. Let's dive into this, and let's get to our notes. All right, here we go. The first one on the actual graphic organizer that I told you to print out, or you could just kind of pause it right now and write this down. But here's your piecewise function. Notice we're not evaluating it. We're going to actually graph this function and then this function, this whole piecewise function, this piece and this piece on the coordinate plane. Now, before I give you the steps, there's 5 steps to do these questions, and I'm going to kind of walk through each one so you can see exactly how they do it, and you apply those 5 steps. So you got to study the video, like I said. Go back through it a couple times to really get the steps down. But let me show you what these are going to even look like so you get an idea about where we're going. That's very important, by the way. So let me pull this up. So here you go. So here's an example. Notice how this is. It's not just one straight line. We're not talking shading on one side or the other. I know there's inequalities here, but we're not talking about linear inequalities. We're talking about graphing a function. So it's got to be some type of a straight line or something that, something that at least passes the vertical line test. So if you look at this one, you got 2 different pieces. Oh, that makes sense. It's a piecewise function. You're going to have 2 pieces of 2 different lines somewhere that's going to be, if you will, kind of cut in half, and there's going to be one side and another side that looks a little bit different. They're pieces. They're piecewise functions. But notice this, it's still a function, because if I drew a vertical line, let me use a different color. If I drew a vertical line right down through here, it still passes the vertical line test, because right there, that closed dot includes the point. This open dot right here doesn't include the point. So it's not intersecting 2 different points. No matter where you draw your vertical line, guys, it still passes the vertical line test. That's why it's called a piecewise function. So that's at least what they're going to look like. Let me show you another one. Notice there is 2 pieces. There's this particular part right here. Looks like where we're cutting the actual pieces down through there at 2. So there's a right side and there's a left side. This one here, we're cutting this one right down through the actual y-axis. So there's a left line and a right line. There's 2 different pieces. This one, ooh, look at this one. I'm cutting this one twice. So this one cuts right there. This one cuts right there. This one, 2 pieces. It cuts right down through -5. This one, it cuts right down. Oh, there's a bunch of cuts there. Ooh, those guys right there is a special one. This is called a step function. Well, they look like steps. Ooh, we'll talk about those in a little bit too. So that's what they look like. They all look the same where we have this cut. Ooh, look at this. At -5, hint for you, a little previewing. Oh, look at this. I'll do this one. So the cut line right here is a 2. Oh, a little hint for you. Oh yeah, so let's do this. Let's go back to the one that we were just doing on your graphic organizer and graph this. And here is step number 1 that you need to write down and we're going to do. The first step is we're going to actually draw what I call the vertical borderline or cut line, however you want to talk about it. So draw the vertical borderline or cut line, and that always, ladies and gentlemen, always, always, always is given to you with this piece right here. It's the train switch that I talked about in the other video. So where it says X is not equal to, but at 2, that is going to be your cut line. So down through 2, there is going to be a line that I'm going to draw. Actually, hold on, let me do this. Let me actually make a straight line. Here we go. I'll make it dotted. By the way, when you do this, you need to make sure you make that line, but make it nice and light, because it's not part of the graph. It's just a visual for you to kind of see where my graph, my 2 lines are going to be split right down the middle, where the pieces are going to be cut. So make that nice and light. I dotted it because it doesn't matter whether it's solid or dotted. It doesn't matter. I'm just drawing that line there as a visual so you know what side's what. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is to do this. You need to graph the first function. So we're going to take this thing right here. Hold on. Sorry, I got interrupted by an announcement. No big deal. So I'm going to, first of all, here we go. Step number 2. I'm going to graph this first function. How do I graph that? Ladies and gentlemen, it's no different than if I just gave you this. F of x or y equals 3x minus 1. I would graph that thing like we've been doing from Algebra 1 beyond. So I look at my y-intercept. It's at -1. Bam, right there. I put a dot. Beautiful. And then I'm going to use my slope. I'm going to go up 3 over 1. So 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. While I'm off. So down. 1, 2, 3, back. 1. Down 3. 1, 2, 3, back 1. So you get the idea. So there you go. So all I'm doing is graphing this line. Now notice, I'm not doing any inequality, so you don't look at this and say, oh, it's actually a solid line. Oh, this is going to be a dotted line. No. It's a function. It's an equation. That bad boy right there is an equation. Equation. So it's just a straight line, man. So let's graph that straight line. Make it as straight as I can. Actually, I'm going to actually draw this one. Here we go. Boy, this ought to be good. So I'm going to go from here. It's going to be a little crooked, but deal with it. So my line goes down through there. You keep going. Try to make it as neat as I can. That's not too bad, Mater. I'm impressed with myself. All right. I'll keep going up through here. Beautiful. So there is my first, I kind of color-coded it for you. There's my first particular equation, this piece of the function that I drew. Alrighty? Now comes where you need to get out your eraser, because step number 3, you have to use the, what I call guidelines, requirements, or limitations, however you want to look at it, to determine what part of the line you're going to eliminate. You're like, what are you talking about? Remember these guys I showed you before? These guys back here, they have pieces to it. There's the cut line that I showed you before, and there's a right side and a left side. So we have to go through this example and determine if this is my cut line, I'm going to cut that thing right there. I need to determine whether I'm going to keep the right side or I'm going to keep the left side. So this is my cut line. I wish I had scissors. I'd put them right there and say, cut! But that's what I need to do. So I'm going to cut that right there, and I need to determine what side I'm going to keep. Not shade, I need to keep it. How do you determine that? I will give you a hint. Let's see. It is right here. This part right here is your requirements, limitations, whatever you want to call it. That is what's telling you what part of this line you want to keep. So it's saying you want to keep this line, where x is less than or equal to 2. That is the good part right there. X is less than or equal to 2. So your domain that you want to keep this actual function graphed over is going to be x is less than 2. Now where does that happen? Well, if I put a little smiley face or any type of thing on here, let me put a smiley face. So where is x less than 2? Here's 2, that's x is 2. Here's less than 2. Here's less than 2. Here's less than 2. Any of these down here is where x is less than 2. So that means anywhere on the left side of my cut line, that's what I'm actually going to keep. What are you talking about, Mater? That means I take my little handy-danny eraser and I say, you are gone. So I erase everything on the right side because I only want, people, I only want all of my x's on the left, so I want everything over here. So I really want to just keep the stuff on the left side of where x equals 2. Everything over here. So that is step number 3. Beautiful. Here's step number 4. It's one of the easiest steps. Step number 4 is now you just need to determine if there's an open or closed circle on the quote-unquote border/cut line. So since I just erased this line that was over here, that line over here I just erased. Let me get rid of it. I need to determine, at this point right here, I need to determine whether it's an open or closed circle. Well, how do I determine that? Simple as this. This symbol right here is the one that determines it. So at my x is less or equal to 2, right here, I'm going to put a closed circle. Why would I put a closed circle? Because again, as we go back to just regular old inequalities, if it's a less or equal to, it means it includes the actual solution or includes the input. So I need to put a closed circle right there. So a closed circle on the borderline. I kept all this stuff over here. Wonderful. And step number 5 is simply to do this. Just repeat. That's right. Repeat steps 2 through 4. Except you repeat steps 2 through 4 with this particular part over here, or this piece of the function. So now we're going to take and draw this one. So I'm going to go, same thing as y equals negative 2x plus 7. So to reiterate the steps, I'm going to do this. I'm going to draw my, no, not draw my borderline, it's already done. I'm going to actually graph it. Well, 7 is my y-intercept. Notice I'm not starting on the borderline. That has nothing to do with it. I'm still graphing it like I normally would, whether that line's there or not. So at 7, my y-intercept is there. My slope is negative 2, so I go down 2 over 1. 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 So my line that I would graph is going to look like this. Keep going. There we go. Okay? And this guy goes up through here like that. So there is the line. That's step number 2. I graph the line. But remember, step number 3. Now I have to determine what side of that border line, what side of that cut line I'm actually going to keep. Well, again, we refer right back to what we referred to before. This. So I need to keep, I want to keep all of the things to the right greater than 2. So that's all the stuff that's down here. So I'm going to keep all of the line that's down here to the right. Wow. That means I need to erase this piece up here. I'm going to do this. I have to rewrite this. Just bear with me a second. Beautiful. So I'm going to rewrite this guy like this. So I'll go right back up to here. There's one we're right through the actual borderline. Beautiful. So there we go. So I'm keeping the right side of this particular line. Why? Because its x is greater than 2. So now I just have to determine, as we did in step number 4, whether I have an open or closed circle. Well, to keep this a function, if I got a closed circle there, you better open this bad boy. And it is true because, again, this is just strictly greater than. This is a really ugly example, but hey, it's strictly greater than. So that's how that one would look. So you got a line that goes to the left over here, like that, goes down that way. Lovely. And you got a line that goes over there to the right. The only thing that I would do last would be I would take this particular borderline and erase it. And there's your answer. It looks just like that. Yes, it would be a little bit more neat. I don't have a ruler to draw it. You should have a ruler and draw it nice and neat. But that's exactly it. There is your piecewise function graphed appropriately. I'm going to do another one real quick. I'm going to speed it up. But here's the second one that I'm going to do for you. This guy right here. I'm going to speed this one up real fast so you can see how it actually works. And then, you know what? Forget that. I want you to do it. I want you to attempt this, and we'll talk about this one in class. This is the one that I want you to do right now. And when you come in, we'll go through it, and we'll make sure that you're good to go. Fair enough? Awesome. We'll see you guys then. Later. Oh. Whoa. Hope you didn't pause it. You need to go back and watch this video again. Study the video. Study it. That was a lot of information I threw at you. That's why I like doing the videos. You can rewatch these over and over and over again. Fast forward it. Pause the part that's confusing. But do it, because that's going to help you do these questions. You use these notes in class. I hope you got great notes. We're going to use them.